Welcome back to Kevin Savage TV. My name is Kevin Savage, and today we are going to talk about 808. So let's hop into Ableton and check it out. All right, so check it out. We are in Ableton now. I've thrown together this little beat with some samples that I had laying around. We've got this sample right here. Let's check it out. It's a sick little trap beat, trap melody, and then I've got a little bit of delay and a little bit of reverb on here. So let's hear it. And then we got some nice little drums, but of course we're missing one of the most important pieces of a beat, the 808. Now, obviously the 808, it's been around, it's been in the music consciousness for quite a while. Obviously some earlier boom bap, you're not going to necessarily throw the 808 on, but nowadays, honestly, without an 808, your song is going to feel empty. So there's plenty of different ways that you can create 808s. It's honestly just a learning curve. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it, the better you get to creating the melodies and the grooves and what specifically works. We're not going to talk about how to make 808 grooves today. We're more interested in the sound design elements of creating an 808. So I've got this 808. I've got this melody right here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and bring all this stuff down. This is just an 808, a little 808 melody I threw together. Let's go ahead. Oh, and honestly, you should note that if you are listening to this on phone speakers or garbage headphones, you might not be able to hear this. I'll add a little bit of distortion so that way you can hear it hopefully a little bit better. So let's go ahead and make sure. All right, cool. So hopefully you can hear that a little bit better, but basically what this is it's a very simple kind of like sine wave with some slight adjustments to it. But I've created this 808 instrument for you guys free. As always, just make sure you check out the description box below so you can download this if you're an Ableton user. Otherwise, we'll do a really, really brief walkthrough of this, of what I did in Operator. So hopefully you can apply it to like, you can create the same at least foundation in like Serum. But I mean, the theory behind it is it's basically a sine wave with a little bit of an attack transient and then some decay, and then if it's a lot of fiddling around with those elements. In this case, what gives it some of that aggression is I have basically a shaper on it. It's kind of like a saturator, and I've set it to hard. It's got a couple of different options, so if you were to turn it off, it brings us back to that same like basically sub, and there's other modes. Goofy. I've got it set to hard, and right now it's set to 45%. Obviously, I like to crank it all the way up. Gives it that nice punch that'll punch it through the mix. So anyway, created this little groove. Now, what's cool about this this instrument is it's very much like if you've played around with some of my other instruments, you've got like the Peekaboo bass shaper. This 808 shaper is very similar. I try to make it as user friendly as possible, and really the macros are the most, in my opinion, the most important pieces of it. So ultimately, I want you to be able to take any sort of MIDI through. You know, you've got a track, you've created the MIDI for the 808, and honestly, I want you to be able to throw this instrument. In this case, it's an instrument right on top, and just be able to fly. Honestly, I don't think you should have to look at any of the rest of the guts of what goes behind it. You should be able to create a dope sounding 808 with just playing with these macros. So basically what I've got going on here is we've got a way of adjusting the attack. And most of that is for, let's say that you're not sidechaining. Let's say you've got a kick that you really like and all you want to do is kind of pull back that attack. I just make it a little bit easier. We've got the release. This is how long it's gonna go after it hits, right? So I like to play, you know, obviously be careful how long you make it because it will just become garbled. But the benefit of having such a long release, you're probably never going to have a 60-second release, is that allows you to, if you want to have just a single bass note ring out, being able to let it roll like that is really useful. And then of course you can use the automation to pull that back later on. But you know, pulling it back down, that'll allow it to stop by the time the next note hits. Decay is going to allow you to kind of, that's what, you know, the long, like the trail off. So like, you know, we've set the decay to max, but if you pull back that decay, it's almost like a kick drum. Like a tonal kick. And there's times that I've written songs where one of my 808s will have really short decay, and then another 808 will have a really long decay as a way of kind of playing with tension. But let's keep that all the way up. We've got a noise. I like to throw the noise on there. That noise helps it really punch through the mix in some cases, but you might not use it. But we've got some noise. And what I've done with the noise is I've made it so that way this filter right here, you could filter it all the way back so you're just hearing the sub while the noise is on top. So I'm in the filter, I specifically made it to filter the mids. This instrument is built very much like Peekaboo Bass Shaper, where it's broken into, the signal chain is split. Right? So you've got these, the top, mid, and sub. And so basically, you know, if we look at the top, it's very much the very top end. Little bit of trail over. I don't like it to be exactly. I want there to be a little bit of crossing. You've got your mid, and then you've got the sub. Let me see here. I can't see because my camera is right there. There we go. Sub. And basically, when you adjust something like the filter, you're filtering it all the way up or all the way down. You can see there. This just honestly, no filter. And then this is full filter on. So let's pull these back together. Yeah. All right. So basically, if we want to hear the full, what exactly is happening with the noise. Now this will allow you to basically have a sub with just some noise on top. But most of the time you're probably going to want to keep the filter completely open. Drive is where a lot of the shaping is happening. Drive and the saturation. This pushes how much of that shaper in operator you're getting. So if you watch this shaper right here, oh, sorry. Aggro does that. Drive is the overdrive. So it's basically how much of the mid signal is being pushed through the overdrive. And then you have, obviously, saturator right next to it. So depending on how much saturation you give it, it adjusts both the output and the drive. So that way you're not like keeping the same output and then just pushing the drive and making it overall louder. I wanted it to be so that way if you push the drive, it cuts the output. If you cut the drive, it pushes the output. And the idea behind that is to really just capture the sound of the saturator without increasing the volume. So that's that. And then of course there's aggro. And then you can filter it. So now it's just the sub and the top, and then we've got the noise, and so now it's just it's basically just the sub. I mean, you're capturing a little bit of the mid, but that's going to get lost ultimately in the mix. And if you need to, you can always clean that up with an EQ. So that is the 808 shaper. It can really transform a track, you know, so let's just throw the 808 into the mix again. If we just go ahead and turn these things down like that. Let's loop it. And so what you can really do is you can hop in there and just play with it, you know? It's like, honestly, if this was the track that I was making right now, I'd probably keep it somewhere around there. Toss in, there is a gate built into here. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I've got this gate in here. You don't have to use it, but what this can do is you can sidechain it to like a kick. So in this case, if you could use regular sidechain, or in this case, I've got these transients in here, and basically what's happening is it's ducking the beginning of these hits and allowing the kick to punch through a little bit better. So yeah, so that's something I'm gonna when you open up the package for this instrument, that'll be turned off. So don't worry, you know, about it. But you know, it's there for your use if you decide to use it. That's going to be a little bit more, you know, take some time, fiddle, play around with, because it's really going to be based off of your own preference. And yeah, so just a little recap on operator. It's just a single oscillator with some shaper on it. I brought down the envelope of this filter a little bit. There's a pitch envelope on there that's just giving a little bit of that punch and a little bit of that transient. And there's just a little pullback on the frequency here. Outside of that, I mean, I'll probably do a video where I actually walk through creating an 808 in Serum. But if you have Ableton and you have Suite, so you have Operator, honestly, download this, play around with it, use it in your tracks. It should be super easy to really get a good sounding 808. I mean, you could even use it and bounce out your own samples to then play with them as audio if you're not a fan of MIDI like I am. It's really, there's so much available to you. So have fun with this. Again, if you check out the description box, you can see how you can download this for free. And let me know what you think in the comments. Peace.